Okay, so everyone should be able to see my screen at this point, but not my face. That's the way I like it. So this is ActivReporter is what we're looking at right here. Before I jump into the demo, I just want to kind of briefly mention along the lines of what Scott was saying. If you do decide GP is where you want to stay for whatever length of time, there are tons of tools out there that are continuing to focus on GP and working with people that use GP. ActivReporter is one of those tools that can allow you to take advantage of some of the new things out there in technology without having to move off of GP. So it lets you kind of extend the use of GP. This is an actively developed tool. We release new versions about every 4 weeks. So you're going to see new things and better things all the time. So let's talk about what ActivReporter is. First and foremost, it is a financial reporting tool. And I'm going to start by showing you some, that's the big one. I meant to start over here. I'm going to show you some of the reports that you can create using ActivReporter. So these were all created with ActivReporter. ActivReporter is an Excel-based financial report writer. We design and create and publish in and to Excel. So this was created in ActivReporter inside of Excel, and the final result is also here in Excel. So we've got a balance sheet, income statement with an actual budget versus variance. Here's an income statement by month. You can do some fun things since we are in Excel where I have the different branches across the top here, and I've got my time going down the vertical axis so that I'm able to see each branch for the same month on the same row. A cash flow statement, indirect. Here's an income statement trailing back for the last 4 years. So I'm using an older version of Fabricam here, you can tell, 2017. ActivReporter can also do multi-company, where I have a Fabricam and my cleverly named Gabricam company, separate GP company databases displayed on the same Excel statement. And then another company, University, where we use a segment of the chart of accounts to split between 2 different portions of the same company. So you can do multi-company if you've got separate company databases, and you can do multi-company if it's all contained within one database, but designated different by a chart of account segment. So this also works for those that are using binary stream multi-entity management. You can report on your separate companies in this way. And of course, consolidate them. And here's my fun little boardroom example. Because we are in Excel, because the design is done in Excel, and because the results go to Excel, you have everything Excel can do at your disposal to make your financial designs look the way you want them to do. Or in this case, I've created a dashboard. So you can publish this out to a static point in time where nothing is going to change, but you can also keep this in a live state where I can go in and change the period. I'm going to change it to something drastically different so we can see all the pretty colors move. I can change the date, in this case going back to 2015, hit OK, it'll recalculate, and you'll notice that my graphs and my ratios here, they all updated along with all of these numbers. They all updated to show my new date that I'm looking at. So these are live. They are connected to GP. It has a parallel database that's going to sit on the same SQL server as GP. Let's see. So aside from being live, we've got this big chunk of number here, right? And you want to know what's in that number. So ActivReporter allows you to drill down directly to the transaction detail that makes up that number. So I'm drilling down here. Here's my drill down view. And let me make this, I think I can make this a little bigger. Yeah, there you can see it a little better. I drilled down directly into all of the individual debits and credits that make up the number that I originally wanted to drill into. So from here, let's say I'm going to pick something not on the balance sheet. Let's go look at something, how about salaries on the income statement. So I'm drilling down into my salaries number here. And what I want to show you is how, even if you don't have a GP user license, you can get all of this data. So you don't need to be a GP user to have access to the drill down information in ActivReporter. You can even double click on a debit or credit and get more information about that particular debit or credit. Hit a journal entry button, and this allows you to see the entire journal entry in context. So here's the original debit that we drilled into on my salaries and wages, and here's the rest of the journal entry that that one debit or credit came from. All of this without a GP user license. Now, since I do have a GP user license, I want to show you what you can do if you do have one. So backing up, I come in and I drill down on my detail. And then from here, I pick my detail that I'm interested in. And you can either right-click and go to drill back up here, or you can use this button up here, or you can see your keyboard shortcut over there to open up my journal entry inquiry screen in GP. So here is that same journal entry. There's my debit that I've drilled into. The same journal entry in GP, where now you've got access to things like your notes and attachments, or you can go back to the source document and check what is going on in your GP subsidiary. So whether you have GP or not, this is a great tool for financial research. Let's see. Let's talk about how you would build something like this. I want to show you how easy it is to go from nothing to something like this. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize this to get it out of my way. Now, if you are using GP, it's quite likely you are still using FRX or Management Reporter. So what I'd like to show you is how ActivReporter can work with Management Reporter. So here's a typical row definition in Management Reporter. Right, this is an income statement, row definition. In ActivReporter, we're going to leave all of the formatting and the totaling, all that good stuff. We're going to leave that to Excel. We're not going to reinvent the wheel because Excel already does it way better than we could invent. So what we're interested in is the hard work that goes into these row definitions, these link to financial dimensions, where you have the accounts assigned. All of this work here, that is what we can bring over to ActivReporter and start over with in Excel. So I'm going to show you that process real quick. In ActivReporter here, let's see, we're going to use FabriCam. In ActivReporter, I can go down to my setup section and go to what we call roll-ups. Roll-ups are ActivReporter's version of row definitions. Now, out of the box, before you do anything in ActivReporter, you are going to have access to these roll-ups that are all built off of information that's on the account card in GP. So let's see, if I go and I look at my cash account, for instance, in ActivReporter, and I actually, let me switch companies here back to my FabriCam company so that I can drill back. There we go. So I can actually open the account card for this if I have GP by hitting my account card drill back. There it is. So we bring information from the account over to ActivReporter. The category, for instance, we bring that over to a roll-up that we call GP category. You can see this one's in cash. We bring the posting type. There's a roll-up called GP posting type. So this is on the balance sheet item in the posting type roll, or sorry, roll-up. And we also use the combination of the posting type and the category to take our best guess at whether this category belongs in the balance sheet or the income statement, the profit and loss statement. So we say, okay, this is the posting type balance sheet and the category is cash, so that means that the cash category belongs on the balance sheet. So that's how we've automatically built GP balance sheet and GP income statement using that information. So right out of the box, you've actually got something that you can begin reporting with if you are consistently using your categories in a way that you want to report on. If you're not using your categories that way, don't worry, you can create your own in ActivReporter, or your partner, Scott, Endeavor, can help you get those categories fixed up in a way that you can report on. What's nice about this is that it lets you drive your reporting from right here in GP without having to get into ActivReporter, because this is automatically synced with ActivReporter. Okay, so I wanted to go through that right out of the box, but again, if we are coming from Management Reporter, we want to import our row definitions as roll-ups so we can start creating them. So we've actually got a process here that allows me to import my row definitions directly from ActivReporter. I'm going to run through this process real quick so you can see it. Here's my list of row definitions. I'm going to pick income statement right here, 5. And I'm going to put a 2 behind it because you can see I've already done this today. I'll hit OK. All right, and there it is. We've created a roll-up. I'm going to hit Finish. And here is the new roll-up that we have created. So I want to show you the comparison between ActivReporter's version and GP's version, or Management Reporter's version. So it is a pretty simple row definition, but it works as an example. Like I said, we're not interested in the formatting or any of the total amounts or anything like that. All ActivReporter is going to bring is the row code, the description, and link to financial dimensions. So you can see here we have the row code, the description, and if I double click on it, I have the link to financial dimensions information. Let me bring this to the side so you can see. It is fairly similar. There's some slight differences. This is what it looks like in Management Reporter, where you've got a column for each of your segments of your chart, along with the account category. In ActivReporter, we only list the segment that you use in the definition. So this particular row definition only used account, so we only brought over account. You can add the others if you need them, but for simplicity's sake, we only bring over the one that you're actually using at the time. And instead of one column that does a item, wildcard, or range, we split it up into 4 columns that are a little bit more explicit. So you've got item, mask, which is a wildcard. So I can do like that, for instance, say everything that starts with 4. And then begin and end as my range. So it's not exactly one-to-one, but it is very, very similar and allows us to do this import process. You'll notice we go straight to sales returns and then from there to cost of goods sold because we're skipping this bit, and then we skip it down again to salary expense. Cool. So now that I have this in ActivReporter, I can go create a financial design with it. A design is an Excel workbook. So we're going to call this income statement demo, and I'll click workbook to create a new workbook in Excel. And since I left this open, it is blinking at me. That's fine. So this is a big departure for Management Reporter. Management Reporter is all about you create your rows, then you create your columns, then you join them together in a report definition, adding on a reporting tree if you need it. In ActivReporter, the row definition portion is quite similar, but that's about where the similarities end. Once we get the row definition, what we call a roll-up, then we jump directly into what you see is what you get type designing. And what I mean by that is exactly what you put in Excel is exactly what the final result will show. While you're designing, you're even going to get live data out of GP to see while you are designing. And it gives you like instant feedback. Am I creating this report the way I want to? You can instantly see if you are. So to do that, even though we don't have any data showing yet in our new report, it wants us to pick what period we want to show. So ActivReporter has what we call current period. It's similar to Management Reporter's base period. If you were to go in, let's see, and go to run a report, it asks you to pick your base period and base year. That's the same way that you're picking the current period, year, and period here. So I'm going to leave this at 2027 period 4. And I'm going to choose to include my unposted entries. I'll hit OK. All right. Now we are in Excel, and that's it. It's blank. There's nothing there. I'm going to go ahead and pin my ribbon. This is what ActivReporter adds to Excel, is an add-in that adds functions that pull data out of your database. So instead of needing to actually design this one by one, you could do that if you truly wanted to, just do things like this, cell by cell. I really don't recommend it. You have a layout wizard that we provided that lets you get a real quick start. So let's say I want an actual versus budget. I'll click on that. Now these are just starting points. These are not where you have to end up. It's just a place to start. So I'm going to pick actual versus budget. Then it wants to know what I want to use as my financial items. What it means by that are rows. What list of items do I want to use as my rows? So here I'm going to choose income statement, my new roll-up, and hit OK. It gives me information on how many rows, helpful, and generates a template for us to start with. So notice that this matches our row definition. Let's get back to it. Here we go. This matches the row definition. So again, we've got sales, sales returns, cost of goods sold, salary expense, benefits, etc. This is the list of roll-up items. Now, this isn't a financial because I don't have any subtotals. I don't have anything that's telling me what I'm looking at yet. My credits are coming through as negative. All I have is one big group total at the end. But now I'm in Excel, and I can make this do whatever I want. Label it revenue. I'll put a space in here just like I had in my Management Reporter version. I can even look at that as I'm building and make sure that I'm doing this the way that I want it to go. So sales, and then what did it say? Net sales. Okay, and then I can manipulate this just the way that you already know how to do, because I'm pretty sure most of you know how to use Excel pretty well already. You know how to make a cell bold to stand out. You know how to add things together. You can do a sum function to add them together. You know how to copy a formula across. You know how to make a negative number into a positive number. I didn't like that. There we go. Now this is Fabricam data, so actually a negative budget doesn't make any sense. So I'm going to leave it that way so it makes some sense. But the point is, this is not using tools that you don't already know how to use. You know how to design things in Excel. You know how to format. You know how to add things together. The hard part is these formulas. But what we've given you is this layout tool to help you get started, right? So different sorts of columns need different sorts of formulas. And that's what this layout does, is it gives you examples for you to copy and work off of. So let's say, for instance, I have right now a current period actual and a current period budget and a variance. Let's say I want to add on to that a previous year version of that. So I'm in Excel, so all I've got to do is copy my columns and paste them, and I'll modify my base period up here. So remember, this is just like base period. So this is like saying base minus 1. If you're familiar with Management Reporter, that'll sound familiar from your column definitions. It's very similar logic. The only thing that's different between my actual and budget columns is the letter A and the letter B. Look, I put an A in, it switches back to base ledger, and it's exactly the same. I'll put B back in so it stays budget. And it's very, very simple to begin understanding this logic. It's very simple to your Management Reporter or FRX logic combined with Excel logic. And it's also fun because Excel is just, I don't know. If you're like me, Excel is fun.
I love that, Sarah. Fun is the way to go.
Honestly, I mean, what I love about this is learning it. It let me leverage all the things that I've learned over years and years of working in offices and make it into reports. You know, whereas I did learn Management Reporter. I used to work as a GP accountant. I converted us from FRX to Management Reporter, and I loved Management Reporter, but I couldn't explain it to anyone else. It was hard. I knew how to use it, and I knew how it worked, but I didn't exactly know why. Excel is approachable, and it's something that you don't need to be afraid of. So anyway, that's kind of how the report building goes.
Great. Shall I take back over, or do you have a few more points?
Well, I've just got one more thing I kind of want to show you. You know, financial reporting is the big thing that it offers, but I wanted to kind of show you there's some really cool tools in here as well as far as just data research. For instance, a list of every debit and credit that has ever hit your GL. You've got filters to let you filter between date ranges, account descriptions, maybe just to your financials. You can set up your own custom filters if you want to as well. And my favorite piece, other than designs, are financial views. These come built into the software where you have a live trial balance that you can scroll through of all of your accounts. You can double click into it, click on the number, and drill down into that debit or credit detail that makes up that amount. So what I'm hoping is this is interesting enough for you to want to look into it. This is by no means all of it. I've just scratched the surface, but I'm really grateful for Scott and Endeavor letting me come in here and show this to you today.
Thanks so much, Sarah. Yeah, it looks amazing, and just for those on the line, well, actually, I think we'll keep this in the recording. We are a fan of ActivReporter, and it does make your life a little bit easier than Management Reporter. And how it works is extremely fast. And really what it does is when the team implements ActivReporter, it just clones or creates a little extra separate database beside your GP SQL server. So you don't need extra software. And it does its periodic updates between those two, your production server running GP and the little extra SQL server beside it. So the reporting and those analytics are real quick, and that's how I can just pull in that information when you're designing. There are unlimited users, which is nice. And then we look at the implementation fees and the acquisition. So the acquisition, you're in the $2,000 range per year. And that's a big difference than a subscription at $20,000 or $10,000. $2,000 per year makes this very affordable and something that's easy and not too intimidating, especially since you can migrate your management reporter reports into ActivReporter. That, you know, a quick installation and training in $2,500 to $4,000, depending on how much training you need. Or some clients do have space limitations or additional, they have their database on a separate server than the GP reduction server, and there's a little bit of extra tweaking, but you know, all in, maximum $4,000 for an implementation, and then that $2,000 per year makes this very affordable, a nice easy way to have some quick wins and new tools to help you get more out of your GP system. So as we come towards the wrap-up, just for those that are new to Endeavor, we're now 35 years old, over 900 clients, 1,200 upgrades and implementations across Canada and across the U.S. Growing team coast to coast, so from all the way from Halifax to Vancouver and British Columbia, East Coast to Pacific time zone, and all points in between. Continuing to win awards, and as you can see, we have our 3 brands, Endeavor, GP Support North, and our purely CRM team, a very strong team using the Dynamics 365 CRM. Advisory services, implementations, and ongoing support, as you would expect from most consulting firms. Unlike some others, we really believe strongly in our core values: integrity, trust, and accountability. Without all 3 of those, we really can't do a great job for you and help you get more out of your systems and help Microsoft Business Applications work for you